Deep within the remote jungles of Guyana, a tragedy of unimaginable proportions unfolded. On November 18, 1978, over 900 people died in a mass murder-suicide orchestrated by their charismatic but deeply troubled leader, Jim Jones. Jonestown, once envisioned as a utopian paradise, became synonymous with cult madness and the devastating consequences of blind faith. Men, women, and children were forced to ingest cyanide-laced flavor aid, a grim testament to the absolute control Jones held over his followers. The victims, many of whom had followed Jones with unwavering devotion for years, met their deaths in a horrific spectacle that defied comprehension. The world watched in horror as the details emerged, forever changing the way we view cults and the charismatic figures who lead them. The Jonestown Massacre remains a chilling reminder of the dangers of unchecked power and the seductive nature of utopian ideals. It serves as a cautionary tale about the importance of critical thinking, the need to question authority, and the ever-present potential for evil to disguise itself as good. The echoes of Jonestown continue to resonate today, urging us to be vigilant against the forces of manipulation. This is the story of Jonestown, a story of faith and betrayal, of hope and despair, of a community that sought salvation but only found death in the heart of the jungle.
James Warren Jones, the man at the center of the Jonestown tragedy, was a study in contradictions. Born in 1931 in rural Indiana, Jones showed early signs of charisma and a yearning for spiritual purpose. He possessed an uncanny ability to captivate audiences with his fiery sermons and promises of social justice, attracting a diverse group of marginalized people seeking belonging and meaning. However, beneath Jones's veneer of compassion and social activism lurked a darker side, marked by a thirst for power, a penchant for manipulation, and a growing paranoia that would eventually consume him and his followers. As Jones' influence grew, so too did his need for control. He demanded absolute loyalty from his congregation, gradually isolating them from the outside world and instilling in them a deep fear of any opposition. Those who dared to question his authority were met with swift and often brutal punishment, silencing dissent and solidifying his control over the community. Jones's teachings took an increasingly bizarre turn, evolving from messages of social justice to pronouncements of his own divinity. His transformation from a charismatic preacher to a ruthless cult leader serves as a chilling reminder of the seductive nature of power and the ease with which it can corrupt even those with the best of intentions.
By the late 1960s, as Jones's grip on his followers tightened and his paranoia deepened, he began to speak of a promised land, a utopian community far removed from the corruption and evils of the outside world. This vision crystallized in Jonestown, a remote settlement carved out of the jungles of Guyana, where Jones promised his followers a life of equality, security, and spiritual fulfillment. For many of Jones's followers, particularly those who had faced discrimination, poverty, or social isolation, Jonestown represented a beacon of hope, a chance to start anew in a community bound by shared beliefs and aspirations. The allure of Jonestown was carefully cultivated by Jones and his inner circle, who painted a rosy picture of life in the settlement. Propaganda materials showed smiling families working together in harmony, surrounded by lush landscapes and bountiful harvests. Jones promised free healthcare, education, and a life free from the fear of persecution, appealing to his followers' deepest desires for a better world. Many were drawn to the sense of community and purpose that Jonestown seemed to offer. However, the reality of Jonestown was far different from the idyllic image presented by Jones and his inner circle.
Life in Jonestown was a far cry from the utopian paradise promised by Jim Jones. The settlement, carved out of the dense jungles of Guyana, was characterized by harsh living conditions, constant surveillance, and an oppressive atmosphere of fear and control. Jones, obsessed with maintaining his absolute authority, implemented a system of rules and regulations that governed every aspect of his followers' lives, from their work schedules to their personal relationships. Labor was grueling and relentless, with residents working long hours in the fields or on construction projects under the watchful eyes of armed guards. Food and other necessities were strictly rationed, with Jones using access to basic needs as a tool to reward loyalty and punish dissent. Communication with the outside world was strictly controlled, with letters censored and phone calls monitored to prevent any criticism of Jones or his regime from reaching the outside world. Fear permeated every aspect of life in Jonestown. As Jones's grip on Jonestown tightened, the mental and emotional well-being of his followers deteriorated.
The descent into madness wasn't sudden. Jim Jones's paranoia increased, and with it, his control over the People's Temple intensified. His followers, caught in a web of manipulation, were unable to see the danger until it was too late.
There were warning signs, to be sure. Reports of abuse, strange rituals, and financial irregularities surfaced. Authorities missed several opportunities to intervene.
I remember the day vividly. It was supposed to be like any other day, but it turned into a nightmare. Fear and confusion spread like wildfire. It was the day the music died, and with it, our hopes and dreams.
Jonestown left an indelible mark on the world. The tragedy shocked the global community and led to widespread changes in how cults and religious movements are monitored. The legacy of Jonestown serves as a grim reminder of the consequences of blind obedience and unchecked power.